Hey, what's up everybody? BDR 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so a day removed from the Lakers losing to the Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves back-to-back. No Anthony for either one of those games, no Bron for the Minnesota game. You know, right now we're technically, specifically, officially locked into the play-in tournament one way or another. The highest seed we could possibly get, I believe, is 7th. If everything were to fall in our favor, we can't get into 6 anymore. The Golden State Warriors have also locked that up as well. They're in the play-in tournament. But New Orleans and Phoenix and Sacramento could still fluctuate. One of them could get the 6th seed. One of them will get the 6th seed. You know, I think for me, the question I have, what I've been hearing lately is that the New Orleans Pelicans are strongly considering deferring the pick that they have to next season, meaning that one of the pick swaps that we received, or rather that we gave to them in the Anthony Davis trade, could potentially come our way this season, and then next year without any restrictions they could receive the pick, completing our deal with them for Anthony Davis. And I said this randomly in a video I made about a month ago, and I thought it was a decent chance we get our pick this season because it is a weaker draft, and it's just likely going to be more quality talent for them to receive next season if they defer the pick. Plus, with LeBron James being a free agent, you never know, he may not resign. And so if that's the case, you would expect the Lakers won't be very good next season, potentially putting them in a position to have an even better pick next year. But if the Lakers miss the playoffs this year, which is looking real possible, that's going to be a lottery pick this season. And my question is, and I couldn't find the answer to this, I looked it up, I could not find the answer, is when do the Pelicans need to submit their decision on our pick? Is it before the lottery or is it after the lottery? Because if it's before the lottery, obviously they can make the decision to defer the pick, and then something magical can happen and you can win the lottery. And then it would be too late for them to swap it. You see what I'm saying? It'd be too late for them to snatch it. But if it's after the lottery, they can sit up here and say that they're going to do this, or that they can, you know, release the reports that they're interested in deferring the pick this year, only for you to find yourself getting a magical lottery pick, top 5 or whatever, and then suddenly they decide they want to take it. So whatever the case may be, what a lot of Laker analysts believe the Lakers are going to do is trade the pick regardless and just not pick it if they do keep it, which I think, to be honest with you, doesn't make the worst sense in the world. I think it's a decent decision because last year we used to pick on Jalen Hood-Schifino and didn't appreciate how it turned out. Maybe if we would have traded the pick for something that was a little more valuable to us, our team would have been a little fuller this season. And I don't like the projection of Jalen Hood-Schifino coming off of back surgery next year either. So it just looks like a waste of a first rounder that we could have very easily traded before the draft, even before the lottery, and found ourselves with a much better asset. So I understand the wisdom behind deferring the pick. But what I will tell you is this, or not deferring the pick, but trading it. But I'll tell you is this. One of the best things the Lakers have going on for themselves is great draft scouts, right? And we got scouts in this league that I believe would do a great job in a rebuilding situation because they have a knack for talent and a good eye. I trust them. Problem is, Rob Pelinka didn't trust them last year and went with Jalen Hood-Schifino. We would have taken a better player for ourselves if we would have listened to those scouts. So what I'm telling you is, it probably makes more sense for a team like the Lakers to use their pick so long as they don't do that again. Because you have the scouts that other teams would otherwise want. You see what I'm saying? You got some of the best scouts in the league. And what's the point of having some of the best scouts in the league if you never have picks? You might as well let those guys go get their bag somewhere else if you're not going to use them. Straight up. If you don't want to do any rebuilding or you don't want to do any drafting, then having great scouts is a lost asset. It doesn't equate to you to nothing. You just got great scouts that you don't use. So for me as a Laker fan, I'm looking for the Lakers to consider that this season if we get our pick. Trading it and trading every pick from here to 2029 negates the idea of what it means to have such fantastic scouts that you should otherwise be trusting. You know, a lot of what went wrong this year is being reported that coach made the decision to play Cam Reddish and play Taurean Prince over players that were invested in. Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, etc. were benched in certain situations. Rui wasn't started until later on. And that decision was poor because we would have otherwise, by way of the stats, been a much better team if we would have just played those guys. And as we can clearly see, it's only about 3 games separating the 9th spot from like the 4th spot. So when I look at that logic and people say, what was the point of investing in Rui Hachimura so much if we were only turn around and use him in a way that diminishes that contract? I say the same thing about having scouts that are very, very good, but not using them and usurping over them to get some guy that you got a gut feeling about, like we did with Jalen Hood-Schifino. What's the point of having these great scouts if we keep trading away our picks, and in the picks that we do have, we don't trust our scouts to let them make the decision? So if we're going to get, and I'm talking directly to Rob Pelinka, if you're going to get on Coach Ham for doing that in regards to Rui Hachimura, if we have any bad thoughts about that, you need to understand that you did the exact same thing thinking-wise, line of thinking-wise, when you overstepped the scouts to pick up Jalen. It's the same thinking mistake. It really is. So that's what I want to say, man. I just want us to stop, look, and listen to all of the people who are telling us what the mistakes were that our organization has made. And let's make some good decisions going forward and put us in the best possible position to have a good team next year. I don't know what the perfect science would be. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I know, because I've seen certain things that I truly believe in regards to developing teams fail. I've seen things that I really didn't believe in work out. You know, I'm a big opponent of the 3-star model. I don't like the idea of putting together 3 max superstars and then filling up the rest of the roster with minimal role players and old guys. I think that's a horrible way to build most certain situations. But I did believe a great deal in the 2-star model, and in having mid-level talent and all this different types of things, only for that to fail this year. Now, that's skewed by the fact that we didn't utilize our talent properly, and if we would have, it may not have been a failure at all. But nevertheless, however it plays out, it ain't a perfect science. And so that's really what it comes down to. How much better can we be for things that I really want us to do versus things that I think the organization probably want to do themselves? Like, for example, I like Trae Young a lot. I like Donovan Mitchell a lot. But my way of thinking is not to buy another superstar. I don't think that that would make me more comfortable, right? 3-star model, don't like it. And I look at Donovan Mitchell, and I know a lot of people are high on Donovan Mitchell, but I also know he's been dealing with a knee all season long. He's probably come back too soon on that knee, and I think Cleveland allowed him to do so because they don't think they're going to keep him. So if we get him, are we sure we're not going to be paying top dollar for damaged goods? Is he going to still be that same athletic player, or is he going to be a guy who's going to be suffering knee injuries from here on out? I'm not sold on Donovan Mitchell anymore. That doesn't mean that he can't go on and continue to be a superstar, but I'm telling you, I don't play with knee injuries. Not when it comes to maximum players that have to be paid $300 million. No, I don't play like that. So he's off my list, off the strength of some of the knee injuries that are starting to pile up and Cleveland's willingness to play him. I ain't that type of stupid. We got to get that player off of our list if he has any remnants of those issues at all, because he's going to cost too damn much. It's too much of a commitment. I'm just being honest. Too much of a commitment to pay for diminishing talent if he's going to be diminishing in any way. Not to say that he ain't good enough to be a #1 or a #2 somewhere, but for what it is we got going on, we can't get it wrong. It's God's honest truth. We can't get it wrong. Trae Young has too many contingencies on whether or not he's playing well. That's the problem with Trae Young. If he's not controlling the basketball, he ain't the same player. You know, you see that problem. And while you can give him that role if LeBron leaves, you may not be able to give him that role if LeBron stays. And so that's the problem. Is he going to be asked to play off the ball too much? Is he going to be taking the ball out of his hands? And if that's the case, how bad is that going to leave your team in the event you're paying him half the damn cap? Half of that, well, a third of it anyway. 1/3 going to Bron because he won $50 million plus a no trade clause, and then of course Anthony Davis' salary, one of the most expensive in the league today. So for me, it's like I don't know what's right. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I really don't know. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in any direction you go. And maybe the safest route is to fill up your franchise with superstars that are retradable. I just don't know, man. I don't know. But I can tell you this. Up until the Jalen Hood-Schifino pick, really am against trading picks. But once you do that, and you show me that's what you're capable of doing, then I've got to realize that it's probably in my best interest to ease up off of that idea that trading picks is the worst thing in the world for me. I got to. Because if you're not going to draft properly, then the pick is best used elsewhere. I have great scouts. That's what I want people to understand that I understand. I got great scouts. So there's no reason for me, so long as I'm letting them do their job, to not have faith that I'm going to draft well every damn year. And that's why I want us to accumulate picks. I think the safest thing for us to do is accumulate picks. Yes, a rebuild. Yeah, I'm saying rebuild. Yeah. Unless guys want to be a part of that, as to which they need to not. I don't know how they would be. Anthony and Bron would have to be traded for those picks. I don't know how you get those picks without trading those players. I really don't. But that's the way that I think makes me be able to sleep best at night. Because at the end of the day, the problem for me is LeBron's age. If I want to go forward with these two stars, I am anticipating LeBron James retiring or falling off any moment. It's not as simple as me just going forward with the stars because I don't want to rebuild and it's safer to go with the stars. Now, when the star is 39 years of age, going on 40 this season, don't know. That's not safe. Now, if LeBron was 32, then you could go forward saying, yo, the rebuild makes no sense. We got stars, etc. That makes sense. But when a guy's 40, nah, fam. Either you're forcing your rebuild when you're ready, or that rebuild's going to be pulling the rug out from underneath you when he is done, however that comes. And I'm not waiting for him to be done for me to be like, oh my God, now I got to rebuild. I want to be able to have an initiated thought and plan for that rebuild before he gets into a space where he can't do it anymore. That's just much smarter than me, man. It's so much more smart to initiate your own path to that, rather than to put yourself in a position to be like, oh, well, LeBron's down now. Let's try to move AD. Definitely can't move Bron. He's retired. It's like that ain't gonna give me the best asset class from which to start my rebuild, and that prolongs the rebuild. So for me, it's like, nah, the only real path is trading him. And if you're giving him a no trade clause, you ain't getting no picks for him. And I get it. The Lakers want to be the superstar team. Superstar everything. But that's going to be your Achilles heel if that's going to be your line of thinking, and you ain't going to be able to sway away from that even when it makes sense to do so. You can make LeBron James happy. He retires. You have half of your value. But the idea that you'll make another superstar happy, you're going to be stuck in this situation where you're constantly mortgaging picks. And all the new talent that comes into the league going to be on other teams while you're constantly paying top dollar for guys who are already invested highly in themselves, as to which you're going to deal with diva attitudes and various different things. I honestly don't think the Lakers are better for having. You want homegrown talent, man. Homegrown. Your own Magics, your own James Worthies, that's when you're at your best. Your own Kobe Bryant, that's when you're at your best. When one or two of those guys have flourished in the Hall of Famers, and then you bring that third guy as a transplant. Not all of your talent as superstars being transplants, fam. It's more expensive. And in a lot of cases, you're bringing in guys that have a lot of wear and tear already on their legs. Some of which may be able to handle it for the next 7-8 years. Others is probably going to get here and then relax a sigh of relief off of their third contract at $300 million. I'm not up for the easy way. I know I'm a Laker fan, what I'm saying? And with that comes the desire and the responsibility to have the best talent in uniform. But how you accumulate that talent will determine how well you're able to keep winning around that talent. And if you keep on this path to where the only thing you're interested in is stars, you're going to have stars who are not living up to their expectations of winning. And an unhappy fan base is going to be dealing with this type of season with those stars. It's why we aren't good. It's why we're not any good, man. Because we keep thinking that stars is all you need to do right to make things work. You can have the stars, but if the role players and the coaching is bad, then the stars are unhappy and your team's no good. And that's what we're living through. So for me, I just want my team to initiate its own rebuild, get the accumulative, you know, accumulate the right stuff, picks, assets, role players, all of that, and then let the purple and gold aura attract the superstars to the stable environment that you build. That is the safest way to play. That is truly the safest way to play, because what we're worried about is if we draft poorly, or if things don't work out, we have bad luck in the draft, that we're not going to be any good. But what you're going to attract is superstars. Just because you're in LA and because you have the Laker organization allure in the history. I don't have to do more to get the stars. I have to do more to get the other stuff that makes the stars good. And that's what Jeannie needs to pivot into understanding. She's trying to make sure the stars want to be here. We're not in Alaska, fam. You don't need to do that. The stars are going to come to a stable Laker environment. The only time you weren't able to get stars is when your environment was not stable. How does your stability come? By utilizing and maximizing the purpose, the value of everything that you have. Not letting value decrease or walk away from you. You're doing it backwards. Letting LeBron James walk out the door is the opposite way of creating a stable environment to him, post him, to your organization post him. You see what I'm saying? Because he's worth so much of what is going to make you stable. So if you let him retire in the vein of, I got the reputation of superstars being happy here because they know I'm going to pay them and let them leave, you're always behind the 8 ball as it pertains to how much you need to keep them winning and happy. Because that's the value that you need in order to make that happen. So the idea that we are purposefully allowing him to retire in our uniform is counterproductive to what it is that we truly need to be doing, because the team itself requires that you have a stable asset class in order to keep those stars that you want to make happy. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, if you do things the wrong way, then you're not going to get it right. You know, it's almost like you got bad roots on your tree, but you keep clipping the leaves. Like, no, you got to dig down there in the roots. That's what you need to be working around. If you don't get to the roots, then you're just clipping away at what otherwise is going to continue to come up the wrong way. So it's like, that's what I think. The Lakers are doing things backwards, man. I think their idea is backwards. I think they're too busy trying to make people happy in the moment, only prolonging the inevitable, for which they're going to have a prolonged and even longer rebuild because of the value that they're going to let evaporate in the thin air. If you don't let any of that value evaporate and you capture all of it and turn it into retradable assets and young picks and players, then you have more from which to work with in your rebuild, and that rebuild shouldn't take so long. In other words, letting LeBron James retire in this uniform is going to prolong that rebuild. It's going to make it so that you don't have as much. You're going to constantly bring yourself a bunch of expensive stars that you can't keep good role players around. That's really what it's going to be. And those guys are always going to want more. They're always going to have the idea that you're going to make them happy no matter what they're doing. They can sit out for whatever reason because you set the precedent that they can. And it's just a bad way to go. It's a bad way to go. I'm not in the business of keeping superstars happy. I'm in the business of keeping my uniform desirable for superstars to want to come to. They're going to be happy because they're going to be in Los Angeles. They're going to be happy because they're going to be wearing purple and gold playing for a championship. But if the idea is to just cater and kiss the behind of superstars, believe me, you're not going to be able to properly kiss it, because the best way to keep a superstar happy is making sure he doesn't look bad in the damn uniform and not wearing himself down doing too much because the rest of the team can't do it. So, for me, you initiate your rebuild. You understand that the sunshine is still going to be shining in LA 10 years from now. And you make sure that over the next 6 years, you're putting yourself in a position to be the richest, wealthiest, pick-having team in the NBA. You turn yourself into what the Celtics were, what OKC is, what Utah is. And let the stars come to you. I got to do nothing to make y'all happy. Look at all these damn picks. Look at this sunshine. Look at this purple and gold. You don't want to be here, somebody else will. Ain't got to do nothing. What the hell else? What else do I got to do? The hard part for me is making sure all the other stuff is in place, not getting the damn stars. And that's where the Lakers got it backwards, man. They're trying so hard to get the stars that they forget that that other stuff is their responsibility. Good coaching, respecting the scouts, having tradable equity, role players that aren't bad, you know what I'm saying? Solid mid-level, pick swaps and picks and various different things that make your team wealthy as you want it to be. That's the hard part. We're forgoing the hard part because we're trying so hard to do the easy part. But the easy part is getting the damn stars. If all that is in place, the stars come. This ain't OKC. Ain't got no hard time getting people to be here. But it's teams like the Lakers in the Heat that get that backwards. They think they got to do so much to keep the stars. They think, you know, you ain't got to do nothing like that to keep those stars. All you got to do is the hard part. The hard part is your responsibility. That way the stars don't say, well, the sunshine is bright, but damn, they don't have any assets. I don't know. Coach is bad. I can't go there, man. Their book's all messed up. They ain't going to be able to do right by me if they pay me this much. Team is going to be bad. That's the stuff that the Lakers need to be responsible for so that they don't have any of these questions in the stars' minds when it's time to choose you. We're doing it backwards. They've been doing it backwards the whole time. And I just want Jeanie and Rob to understand this, man. It's not rocket science, but you can make it a lot harder for yourself when you do things the wrong way. You can definitely make things hard for yourself when you do things the wrong way. You let LeBron James retire in uniform, evaporate into nothing. Waste a first-round pick on his son just to keep him happy when he's already 40 years old. That type of stuff. Believe me, it's going to make your life harder, not easy. It ain't going to make no superstar with any smarts in his mind say, yo, they'll do anything for me. It'll make a superstar say, yo, they're incompetent. They'll kiss my behind to the detriment of themselves. They ain't got no sense. Literally. And so that's really what it is. Lakers are at a crossroads. Do we make the right decision for the sake of the betterment of our franchise, or do we keep doing things the wrong way, misinterpreting what is the difficult part? You know what I'm saying? That's the question. Are you going to misinterpret what the difficult part is any further? Are you going to do things off of the strength of not wanting to be seen as if you've made a mistake when everybody and their grandma could see you made a mistake? Because that's what I was listening to one of the Laker announcers say this morning. He was essentially saying he doesn't believe that the Lakers are going to fire Darvin Ham because they would have to otherwise admit that it was a mistake. Well, newsflash, it's a mistake. That's not hard. He's not a good coach. That's not hard to see. He's not any good. So if he's a bad coach, then it's obvious that hiring him was a mistake. Now, if you're the last one to figure that out, you could prolong the mistake and make it so that you're continuing down the path of denial, which is going to make life harder on you. Make your approval rate will go down even further. Or you can identify the mistake and correct it. It's not hard. And mind you, not correcting mistake is just another thing that someone could look at you and say you should have did correctly. So while you're sitting there in denial about making decisions properly, people are judging you for not. We want to work smarter, not harder, ladies and gentlemen. You keep a bad coach around, you let players dissipate into value nothing, you're making your life harder. And when it's time to do certain things in negotiations, that's what's going to be used against you. You're not making smart decisions. I don't have to pay you top dollar for what you have. I don't have to make smart trades with you. I could try to fleece you and not be serious when it's time to make decisions. All that stuff trickles down, man. And a lot of these lessons we just learned. So as I said in the previous video, there's nothing more important for this organization to do than to fire Darvin Ham. Nothing more important. Get that coach out of here, man. That's the first thing I need to do. Then start talking about personnel. Then start talking about asset class. Then start talking about what matters in regards to building your team up or continuing on the path you on. But you have got to get the guy who's been making all the decisions and make your team bad off of the team. He got to go. Then you can start looking more competent for making the right decision that everyone's waiting for you to make. That's what it's about. It's good decision making at this point. Not being in denial about whether or not you appear competent after making poor decisions that you don't want to correct. That ain't gonna make nobody look at you and say you smart. That's gonna make people look at you and say you arrogant. And that arrogance isn't backed by anything intelligent. You don't want that. You don't want that at all. You want to make good decisions. And if the bad decisions have been made, then the best way to correct those decisions is fast, timely. So I expect that as soon as the Lakers are eliminated, Darvin Ham will be fired. I don't think he should wait 5 minutes. And I understand that a lot of people thought that the Frank Vogel firing was the wrong way to go because he was fired 30 minutes after the season ended. He should have been fired 30 minutes before the season ended. He was bad. You want to make a good decision, you make it fast in that situation. You get rid of what you know is gone bad, period. And so I think Darvin Ham should be fired as soon as we're eliminated. Whenever that happens, he should be fired. And then we start the process of making sense of what it is you want to do next. But do your homework on who it is you want to pay. Don't just pick a guy up because he did something yesterday. If he's got a bad knee today, he may not be able to help you tomorrow. And that's the problem. We ain't paying people for what they already did. You're paying them for what you think they're going to do and what you're certain they're going to do based on the homework you've done. Video 44. I'll thank y'all for watching.